I think it's safe to say we all just witnessed one of the craziest weeks in NBA history. From Luka Doncic randomly getting traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, to a bunch of other players getting traded like De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, Kyle Kuzma, and Chris Middleton, and then finally, Jimmy Butler getting traded from the Heat to the Golden State Warriors. Everybody's been watching all of this craziness go on and formed their own opinions about all of it at this point, but this has all led me to a question that I'm not sure I know the answer to anymore. What happened to loyalty in the NBA? I know everybody's worried about how these players are going to fit with their new teams and the overall craziness of these situations, but it's really got me thinking, what happened to players wanting to stay loyal to their teams? And what happened to organizations staying loyal to their players who've devoted themselves to these teams? We have so much respect looking back at all of these one-team players in NBA history, and it seems like free agency and selfish teams and players have kind of ruined what it means to be a loyal NBA player. On one side, a player shouldn't feel like they have to be stuck with one team and continue to lose and not accomplish anything, but on the other side, players constantly switching up on cities that love them, especially when they had a chance to win a championship, is getting kind of sad. And what the Dallas Mavericks just did to Luka is nothing short of being a stab in the back. Literally without any warning, Luka got traded from the Mavericks to the Lakers, which is something quite literally nobody saw coming, mainly because of how good Luka Doncic has been for the Dallas Mavericks. He is only 25 years old right now and easily a top 3 player in the world, and he could have brought the Mavericks success for another decade. And I know Anthony Davis is an amazing player, but he's 32 years old and a very injury prone player, so this trade just doesn't make any sense. The duo of Kyrie and AD is going to be very fun to watch, but I don't see them competing for a championship at all. And for the Mavericks to say that their reason for trading Luka is due to conditioning concerns is ridiculous. The Mavericks said that Luka got up to 270 pounds during the offseason, and he's had a lot of conditioning problems, which is a reason they traded him, and because they said they have a win now mentality. Which is firstly just actually mind-boggling to even think about. Like, a week has passed and I still can't believe it's real. I'm sure Luka got a little heavier during the summer, but there is no way this man was at 270 and got down to a normal weight that quickly. And if conditioning is something that's that bad of a problem, he's only 25. That's something you just work with him on. And there's no way it was that bad of a problem because Luka just brought the Mavericks to the NBA Finals, like this past year. I know they had Kyrie and Derek Lively, but Luka was the biggest reason they made it to the NBA Finals. He played incredibly and surprised everybody by just making it, and even though they lost, everybody was just excited about how much potential Luka and the Mavericks showed. He was only like 24 doing things we had never seen before, and he had been doing this for years. Everybody knows about the series he embarrassed Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns in the playoffs, so it's not like this finals run was a fluke. He has been this good in the playoffs. And he's amazing in the regular season. A year ago around this time, he dropped over 70 points. He was getting comparisons to Dirk Nowitzki, who's looked at as like the Dallas Mavericks GOAT, and some people even argued that Luka was better than him, and he's not even in his prime yet. But no matter what, Luka got traded to the Lakers for AD, and now Luka and LeBron are teammates. And as somebody who is a pretty big LeBron fan, of course I'm excited to see LeBron end his career with somebody who can pass and score and make this team even more exciting. And based off everything that's happened, you can definitely expect to see Luka go on a full revenge tour this season. But it all goes back to my original point of what happened to loyalty in the NBA. Luka was fully dedicated to the Dallas Mavericks. He had openly stated for years that he wanted to end his career with Dallas and bring them championships. So why would you ever sacrifice that for Anthony Davis, who's out of his prime and probably going to retire in a few years? Even using the win now mindset makes no sense because the Mavericks will not win the championship this year, and AD and Kyrie are only going to keep getting older and older. So when it comes to trying to win now and to have longevity, in both ways they made a stupid decision and stabbed a very loyal great player in the back after everything he had done for Dallas. Which makes this probably the worst and dumbest trade in NBA history. Then there's the other trades that followed this that definitely aren't as crazy but still interesting. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing De'Aaron Fox get traded from the Kings was kinda sad. The Kings had a solid core, and while I don't know if they would have ever won, when you think of De'Aaron Fox, you think of the Sacramento Kings. You think of the series against the Warriors when the Kings were going to war with them, and even though they didn't win, they were just a fun team to watch. And De'Aaron Fox was definitely a player I could have seen staying with the Kings his whole career. But Zach LaVine finally got out of his situation with the Bulls and ended up with the Kings, and the Bulls got basically nothing for LaVine at all. It is not a great time to be a Bulls fan. And this is another small one, but even seeing Chris Middleton get traded from the Bucks was like, dang. Him and Giannis being on the Bucks was something I just thought I'd always see, and seeing Middleton in a Wizards jersey is gonna be pretty weird. But the other super big trade that just happened that everybody's talking about is with Jimmy Butler, who literally requested a trade, came out and spoke poorly about the Heat to the media, got suspended for multiple games, came back and acted like he didn't want to play at all, and pattered around about it, got suspended again, and now he's with the Warriors. After saying just a couple years ago how Miami is his home and how he could stay here for the rest of his career. I'm not saying any of this to take away from what Jimmy has done for the Heat. He brought them to the finals back in 2020, and it was a super impressive series for him, but he was matched up against a prime Anthony Davis and a still very good LeBron James. And he did it again in 2023, except he lost to the Denver Nuggets, who were led by Nikola Jokic, and they just didn't really stand a chance. But still, Jimmy Butler's run with the Heat was very historic, and nobody can take that away. But the way he acted on the way out, after everything he had gone through with his teammates, it just didn't make sense how he treated Miami. He could have at least went out trying, instead of getting himself suspended multiple times and outright refusing to play. And I don't care what anybody says, what Jimmy Butler did to the Miami Heat was a stab in the back. We all thought Jimmy was gonna stay loyal to Miami, and he did that. And I'm sure watching him on the Warriors alongside Curry is gonna be entertaining, but it's also kinda sad how it happened. Especially after they already got rid of one half of the Splash Brothers and somebody who was synonymous with Golden State, Klay Thompson. I won't harp on this one as much because I understand how bad Klay was in those last seasons, and he kinda left the Warriors with no choice. But for how much Klay meant to those Warriors dynasties, it was sad to see him go out like that. And sometimes the players are justified to do what they do when you give your team your all and they just never give you enough help, like Damian Lillard with the Blazers. Dame was looked at as one of the most loyal NBA players ever after sticking with Portland for as long as he did, and then finally, he requested a trade and got out of there and got sent to the Milwaukee Bucks. Was he wrong for doing that? No, but it is a little sad. And since then, the Bucks have been okay, but nothing that special, and if the Bucks never win a championship, people are going to look back and question if it was even worth it for him to leave. The point is, there's so many players in the NBA and in NBA history that are known for being on one team, and a part of me kinda wishes that that was still a thing. Like, imagine somebody like Nikola Jokic getting traded from the Nuggets. It'd be insane. He's been there his whole career, won 3 MVPs, and brought them a championship, and Jokic is just a player that everybody would expect to stay with the Nuggets his whole career. Or somebody like Joel Embiid. When you think of Embiid, you think of that whole trust the process, 76er spirit, and it'd be very weird seeing him in another jersey. Overall, I think the answer to this question is yes, loyalty is dead in the NBA, but honestly, it's not anything new. Players have been getting traded and moved around forever now, and while there's a lot of players who stuck with one team their whole career, it's a lot more rare and usually doesn't happen. But it at least seems like in previous generations, players and organizations wanted to stay more loyal. There was just more pride in staying true to your team, rather than just go leaving to find the new best one for you, or whichever one pays more. And I guess I just wish there was more of that in today's game.